The Dominion fleet arrived on the edge of Earth's orbit like a black storm. 5 war carriers, hundreds of destroyers. Fighter wings lined up like rows of teeth, all under the command of Supreme Admiral Vertilo Warrior, who had crushed 5 star systems and never lost a battle. He didn't care about Carrick's warnings. He didn't care about rumors to him. Earth was a soft world full of backward creatures pretending to be soldiers. Inside the lead war carrier, Dominion troops prepared to land. Cannons charged, drop pods filled. Commanders gave speeches of easy victory, but just before the order to launch came, every screen on every ship changed. Without warning, without command, the broadcast began. It was Carrick's. His face looked tired. Cold but steady to the entire fleet, he said. "This is Commander Carrick's. I am not a traitor. I am not broken. I am your shield. What you're about to see is not fear. It's truth. Watch, and then decide if you want to land." Then, screen cut to Earth's Arctic region. Snow blew wildly across the screen. And then, the ground began to shake. Not from bombs, from something deep below. In silence, the ice cracked, huge lines spreading across the frozen land like veins. Then, one by one, they rose, giant war machines, humanoid in shape. Over 50 meters tall, armor as dark as space itself. Some bore old Earth flags, others had no markings at all. Their designs were nothing like Dominion tech. They looked ancient, hand-built, terrifying, but they moved like they were alive. 6 of them stood in a circle. Steam burst from their vents. Their eyes glowed with deep red light. One of them knelt and opened its chest. Inside was not a computer. It was a human, wearing a Neuralink suit, controlling the Titan with his mind. The fleet watched in silence. Then the humans activated their weapons, not lasers, not plasma, but something older and stronger. A weapon that could bend air, melt metal, can turn gravity against its target. A Dominion probe flew by and the nearest. Titan raised one hand. The probe was crushed in the air without touching it, destroyed by force alone. Admiral Vertilo growled. "Tricks. Nothing more." But then, something worse happened. Dozens of other locations across Earth lit up jungles, continents, deserts, even under city ruins. More Titans, more ancient machines, all waking up, all watching the sky. Carrick's voice returned on the broadcast. "This is not Earth's full strength. This is just the layer beneath. You believed we were weak. That was your mistake. The humans didn't build these machines to conquer. They built them to survive a galaxy that hates them. And now you've forced them to rise." Panic spread across the lower ranks of the Dominion fleet. Troops hesitated to board drop pods. Commanders argued over new plans, but Admiral Vertilo would not retreat. He gave the order. Begin the invasion. Crush them before they launched those beasts. But before a single pod dropped, Earth fired back. Not from the Titans, from space. A hidden satellite network, long believed to be dead, came online. Beams of energy surged from low orbit, hitting Dominion ships with precision. 3 destroyers were gone in seconds. Then, from the Arctic, one Titan lifted off the ground with jet boosters under its feet and launched into the sky. Everyone in the fleet watched it rise straight toward them. 1 machined, 1 human pilot. Taking on a fleet, it tore through 2 escort ships with its bare hands, ripping through armor, dodging fire like a shadow. It didn't fight like a machine. It fought like something alive. Carrick spoke one last time. His voice calm, quiet. "You called them primitive, but you forgot what humans do best when they are cornered. They evolve." That was the final moment. Admiral Vertilo screamed at his command crew. But it was too late. Ships began retreating, not because they were ordered, because their captains saw the truth. This was not a planet to conquer. It was a world with monsters built by humans, guided by rage, trained in silence. The fleet scattered. Retreat became chaos. In the end, less than half the fleet escaped. Carrick stood in the command room of his own ship, watching Earth grow smaller on the screen. He felt no joy, no victory, only respect. He had seen the real power of humans, and he knew this was only a glimpse. The humans had been kind enough to give a warning, but they would not give another. The alien commander, Carrick, of the Dominion, stood inside the command deck of his ship. High above Earth, through the wide observation glass, the blue planet floated below like a quiet, defenseless sphere. Carrick narrowed his eyes. This was the place the Dominion feared. This Earth. It looked weak, small, harmless. His superiors had called humans primitive bipeds with short lifespans and outdated tech. They told him Earth had no true army, only scattered forces, untrained and poorly equipped. The invasion, they said, would be easy. Carrick had his doubts, but he obeyed. His mission was simple: observe the human military, test their response, and prepare for full planetary conquest. No need to engage, only to study. He ordered his scout ship to descend toward a known human base Fort Delta, located in a cold desert region of the northern continent. Their intelligence said it had once been active, but was now abandoned. Still, it was worth checking. Scout ship landed. A strange feeling crawled into Carrick's mind. He couldn't explain eton unease, like walking into a dark room where someone was watching. His sensors read no heat signatures, no movement, no power running through the buildings. It was completely silent. It's too silent. There wasn't even wind or wildlife around. The perfect silence made his breathing sound loud in his helmet. He stepped out with 2 soldiers. The base was covered in dust, and the metal doors creaked as they opened. Old Earth banners still hung on the walls, faded from age. The place truly looked forgotten. But Carrick had lived long enough to know appearances were often lies. Then it happened. His motion sensors beeped once, then again. Fast, closer. Before he could react, all exits slammed shut. The base wasn't abandoned, was a trap. A sudden flash blinded them, and in that moment, Carrick's soldiers were gone, pulled into the shadows, silenced. No gunfire, no struggle, just gone. Carrick activated his emergency beacon and fell back, heart racing, though he'd never admit fear. His suit systems tried to scan the area, but readings were jammed. Someone or something was blocking Dominion tech. He barely escaped back to his ship. The crew on board asked what happened, but he gave no answer. His eyes stared forward, replaying those seconds. He wasn't sure what he saw, but it didn't feel like a normal human ambush. It was too precise, too silent. He ordered the ship to lift and return to orbit immediately. Back on the mothership, Carrick reviewed Earth's military data again. He looked at the images of old tanks, rusted warplanes, small units marching in simple formations. None of it matched what he had just faced. He watched a video of a human training session. It looked slow and weak, but he paused the video at one frame. In the background, hidden in the trees, a figure stood watching the drill. It wasn't part of the training team. It wasn't marked. It was just there. He zoomed in, but the image blurred. No matter how much he enhanced it, the figure remained undefined, almost like it wasn't there at all. That's when Carrick started to wonder, was Earth really as weak as the Dominion believed? Or had the humans allowed the Dominion to believe that? He ordered drone scouts to sweep other human bases. In every case, the drones lost connection after a few minutes. No explosions, no distress signals, just silence. It was like Earth was swallowing them whole. Carrick didn't tell the Dominion High Command everything. He sent them basic footage proof of outdated tech, small armies, and old weapons. But he left out the part about Fort Delta. He kept that part for himself. He needed more time. He had seen something strange, something dangerous. Couldn't explain it, but he felt it deep in his bones. The humans were hiding something. Not weakness, not fear, something else. As he stood again in the command deck, Earth slowly turning below him, Carrick spoke softly to himself. If this is what they call weak, then what does strong look like? Carrick didn't sleep after. What happened at Fort Delta? He sat alone in his private chamber, reviewing footage over and over. The humans had not attacked with force or noise. They had moved like shadows, like smoke. His soldiers were trained, fast, and armed, but they vanished without making a sound. That kind of silence meant one thing: control, discipline, and planning. The Dominion believed humans were loud, emotional, and weak-minded. Carrick used to believe it too. Now, he wasn't so sure. He needed answers without alerting the high command. If he reported this mystery, the council might ignore it, or worse, send another commander to take over. Carrick wanted to understand these humans. First, he ordered a silent scan of Earth's military outposts. No weapons, no contact, just distant watching. Most outposts looked as expected. Old machines, rusty bunkers, troops doing basic drills. But something still felt wrong. In many training camps, the soldiers acted strangely. One moment they followed normal routines, and the next, they disappeared from drone view for seconds at a time. Then they reappeared in new positions, perfectly still, as if nothing had happened. Carrick reviewed the video frame by frame, but it didn't make sense. Dominion soldiers couldn't move that fast, not without leaving heat trails or movement. Blur. He decided to watch them in person again, but this time he would not land. From orbit, his ship activated high-range optical lenses and followed a small human unit on patrol in a forest zone. The human squad marched slowly through the woods, weapons held loose, body armor basic. Carrick felt disappointed. These didn't look like super soldiers. They looked like farmers playing war. But then it happened again. The humans suddenly stopped. All of them. No order was given. They simply froze. For 5 seconds, they didn't blink. They didn't move. Carrick's ship's sensors showed 0. Heartbeat data, 0 breath. It was like watching statues. Then they moved again, fast. They split into pairs and vanished into the trees. One by one, they stepped out of sensor range. Carrick quickly zoomed out to wide view. Nothing. Not one body heat reading. It was as if they had never been there. His crew stared at the screens in silence. "Are we being jammed?" his officer asked. Carrick shook his head. Play. Just vanished. He couldn't explain it. The humans weren't using cloaking tech. The Dominion would have detected it. They weren't teleporting either. It was something else. Something trained. Something ancient. Tried to contact the Dominion science team for theories, but he didn't share full data. He only asked if it was possible to hide soldiers without using technology. The reply came back after a few hours. Only if they are trained to become part of their environment. Such a method is primitive, impossible to perfect. Carrick laughed softly. They call it primitive, but it works. He began studying human history, wars, tactics, patterns. He learned about guerrilla warfare, special ops, jungle survival, and psychological strategies. The humans had thousands of years of battle experience. They didn't rely only on weapons. They used fear, silence, confusion, and deception. No other species in the galaxy had fought so many wars against themselves. It started to make sense. While the Dominion built perfect soldiers and perfect machines, the humans had trained their minds. They learned to break rules, to think differently, to strike when no one expected. Carrick remembered something from an old human video. A phrase spoken by one of their leaders: appear weak when you are strong. Now it all made sense. The old tanks, the rusty planes, the broken bases. It was all a lie, a trap for eyes like his. He had to know more. That night, Carrick's sent a silent probe to follow a different human unit, one marked as Special Forces in old Earth databases. It stayed above the clouds, silent and invisible. Humans didn't know they were being watched, or so Carrick thought. But 20 minutes into the mission, the probe sent a final message. Eyes found. Cut feed. Then darkness. No explosion. No sound. No signal. The probe was gone. Carrick stood still for a long time, his claws tightening into fists. These humans, they knew they were being watched. They let him see only what they wanted. And when he got too close, they took his eye. Now, Carrick understood something terrifying. The humans weren't just surviving, they were studying him back. And that meant only one thing: they were preparing. He looked down at Earth again, not as a weak target, but as a hunter, hiding in plain sight. Carrick returned to his ship in silence. He didn't speak to the crew. He didn't report what he saw. He locked himself in his chamber and played the memory again and again. 6 humans standing in silence, pointing at him without seeing. And the one who whispered, "You haven't seen our real army yet." He had seen many species in the galaxy, some strong, some smart, some cruel, but none made him feel this kind of fear. Not fear of death, fear of the unknown, of the invisible, of something waiting in the dark. He finally sent a private message to the Dominion Council. Not a warning, not a retreat, a request for more time. He claimed Earth had unique tactical formations, that the technology was unstable and must be studied longer. He needed to delay the invasion. If the Dominion attacked now, they'd walk straight into a trap. But High Command didn't care. It replied, "Your fear of primitives is disappointing. A full fleet will arrive in 5 cycles. Prepare the ground." Carrick clenched his jaw. They didn't believe him. Thought he was weak. He had no choice now. He had to prepare for the arrival of millions of Dominion soldiers who knew nothing about the humans they were about to face. Anti-humans were already preparing. Carrick called for a silent scan of Earth's deep zones, not cities or bases, canyons, ice shelves, deep forest zones, abandoned islands. Strange results came back. Too much heat in cold zones, too much signal activity in places marked dead, underground movement patterns. And then what made him sit up straight: an old Earth military base in the Arctic, lit up with energy spikes. Not nuclear, not Dominion tech, something unknown. He zoomed in, saw it. Not a weapon, not soldiers, but rows of giant machines like humans, but massive, covered in ice, sleeping, waiting. Carrick's hand trembled. He knew what he was looking at. War mechs, but not like Dominion walkers. These were ancient, handcrafted machines of war, built with design far ahead of Earth's known history. They looked like they came from a forgotten age. Searched Dominion records. Nothing matched. No intel had ever mentioned this kind of tech. It was clear now, what the humans had more than soldiers. They had titans, and they hadn't used them yet. Why? Because they were waiting for someone foolish enough to bring a fleet. Carrick turned off the feed. His thoughts raced. What if everything: the disappearing soldiers, the fake bases, the quiet attacks, was just part of a bigger strategy? What if the humans had been hiding their true army for a reason? He now believed the humans weren't just trying to defend Earth. They were testing the Dominion, watching, measuring, luring them in. He remembered what the humans said in the jungle. "You saw what we wanted you to see, okay?" Now he finally understood. They had planned this for years, maybe longer. They let the galaxy laugh at them, let the Dominion think they were backward, small, easy to conquer. But in the shadows, They trained, they built, they learned how their enemies thought. They studied the Dominion more than the Dominion studied them, and now they were ready. Kyrix called his second in command. No one lands on Earth without my order. Not one soldier. Not one drone. The officer blinked. But, Commander, the invasion. Kyrix raised his voice. We are not ready. They are not what we were told. He paused, then said, almost to himself, they are something much worse. The officer didn't speak again. Kyrix stood, pacing slowly. He had 5 cycles before the fleet arrived. 5 cycles before his leaders made the biggest mistake in Dominion history. He had to decide, stay loyal to the empire that ignored his warnings, or protect his people from a war they couldn't win. That night, Kyrix sent a single encrypted message back to Earth. Not a threat, not a demand, just 3 words. I believe you. No reply came. But the next morning, something strange happened. Every Dominion satellite near Earth went dark for 60 seconds. When they came back online, one message was burned into the code. 4 words, then don't follow them. Kyrix stared at the words in silence. It was clear now, the humans were done hiding. And if the Dominion stepped forward, Kami would rise. Kyrix didn't sleep. Kami sat alone in his command chair, staring at the stars outside the viewport. The soft hum of the ship felt distant now. His thoughts were heavier than any silence. The message from the humans, then don't follow them, echoed in his mind like thunder in a cave. It wasn't a warning, it was a promise, a final line. Cross it, and the real war begins. The Dominion fleet was still coming. 5 massive war carriers, hundreds of destroyers, tens of thousands of ground troops, all heading for Earth, all unaware of what waited. And they wouldn't stop. He had tried to delay them, warn them, even begged for more time under the excuse of strategic repositioning. High Command refused. The message was clear. Crush Earth. Take the planet. Prove your loyalty. Loyalty. Kyrix almost laughed. The Dominion had never cared about truth, only strength. But this wasn't about strength anymore. This was about survival. He stood and walked to the strategy table. A 3D map of Earth glowed in front of him. Dots marked Dominion drop targets, strike zones, and resource points. He looked at them with cold eyes. None of them mattered. They were fake targets. The real human defenses weren't on the surface. They were underneath, buried in mountain bunkers, hidden in deep ice vaults, stationed in quiet zones. He zoomed in on one of them, the Arctic base, the one with the sleeping giants. He watched the heat readings. They were increasing against slowly, but steady. Whatever those war machines were, they were waking up. And if they moved, the Dominion wouldn't stand a chance. Kyrix called a private meeting with 2 of his loyal officers, who had seen the last failed recon mission, the ones who had stayed quiet when others questioned his fear. You both saw what the humans can do, he said quietly. They nodded. Then I need you to help me do something dangerous. What is it, Commander? One asked. Kyrix looked him in the eyes. Going to stop the fleet. The room fell silent. Are we? Perfecting? The other asked carefully. No, Kyrix said, his voice firm. We're protecting our people. We let that fleet drop on Earth. None of our soldiers will return. They will be buried under snow, jungle, fire, and silence. Earth doesn't need numbers. It needs us to be stupid. He pointed at the map. And we've been stupid long enough. The plan was risky. Impossible, some would say. But it was the only way. Kyrix sent a fake distress signal to the Dominion fleet, claiming a massive solar flare had erupted in Earth's orbit and had damaged his ship's systems. He requested the fleet delay entry by 2 cycles to ensure safe entry. High Command refused, so Kyrix launched Phase 2. He faked a reactor breach in his flagship. then used the emergency broadcast system to send a false message. Earth has deployed experimental gravitic weapons. Our sensors are blind. The Dominion fleet slowed. Finally, but Carrick knew it wouldn't last. Once the admirals on the war carriers realized the truth, they'd come anyway. So he went to Earth again. This time, not in stealth. This time, he went openly. One small shuttle. No weapons, no drones, just him and a flag of surrender. He landed near the Arctic base. The wind was sharp. The ice cracked under his feet. And waiting for him at the edge of the old runway are 5humansoldiers.com. Quiet. No weapons drawn. Carrick stepped out of the shuttle and raised his hands. Come alone, he said. The humans didn't move. I'm not here to fight. Still silent. I need to speak to whoever leads you. Finally, one of them stepped forward. A tall human with white frost on his beard and a strange mark on his shoulder. Armoran, ancient Earth flag with stars. You already have, the man said. Carrick lowered his hand slowly. You knew I would come. The man nodded once. You're smarter than the others. You looked deeper. Carrick stepped closer. I saw titans under the ice, machines older than anything we've ever seen. I saw soldiers that vanished like shadows. You've been hiding your power. No, the man replied. We've been holding it back. Carrick narrowed his eyes. Why? Why not strike first? 'Cause we don't want war. But if war comes, we finish it. The air around them seemed colder. Said quietly, the fleet will arrive in 2 cycles. The human stared at him. Then that gives you 2 cycles to stop them. Carrick looked toward the horizon. I don't think I can. They don't believe me. They'll think I'm a coward. The human walked past him toward the shuttle, then stopped, then showed them what fear really looks like. Carrick turned. What do you mean? The man pointed to the sky. Let them see what waits if they land. Carrick paused. You'll show them? Only once. Then he turned and vanished into the ice storm. Carrick returned to his ship and prepared the final phase. He would stay in orbit. And when the fleet arrived, he would broadcast live footage from the Arctic Cove, the machines rising, a fiction. Not threats, just the truth. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to make them stop. If not, then they would finally see what he saw. And nothing in the galaxy would save them. Carrick stood alone in the observation deck, watching Earth spin slowly below. The stars around him looked the same as always, cold and silent, but the planet beneath felt different now. It felt alive, watching him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the motionless human soldiers standing still like ghosts, their faces calm, eyes sharp. He saw the flash of the trap at Fort Delta, and now he remembered the message from his lost probe. Eyes found, cut, feed. That line repeated in his mind again and again. It didn't just mean the humans had seen the probe. It meant they knew it was spying. They had waited until it got close. Then they had erased it, quietly, cleanly. Carrick had never seen such precision, not even among Dominion assassins. He was beginning to understand something very dangerous. Humans were not afraid of being watched. They expected it, and they used it. Carrick pulled up Earth military reports again, filtered through Dominion intelligence logs. He didn't trust them anymore. Most were outdated, written by scouts who had only seen parades, old training grounds, or peaceful cities. Those scouts had never gone deep. They had never seen the special units, They had never gone missing. Carrick's soldiers had. Drones had. His probe had. And now he had no choice but to dig deeper on his own. He sent another team down to Earth. This time he chose 6 elite trackers, silent, fast, and highly trained. He gave them clear instructions. Don't engage, don't alert, don't interfere. just follow a known human patrol through a jungle training ground. The mission was to last 1 hour, no more. He would watch every second live from orbit. Everything went smoothly. The human squad walked through dense trees, moving carefully, speaking in hand signs. The Dominion team stayed far behind, using cloaking suits and whisper quiet movement. For 20 minutes, there were no signs of detection. Then, one of the Dominion soldiers, Unit 3, stopped responding. His location vanished. No gunfire. Number. Body. Just gone. Carrix zoomed in from orbit. Nothing on screen. The other 5 soldiers kept moving, now nervous. 10 minutes later, Unit 5 fell. Again, no warning. 1 second, he was there. The next, a dark blur passed behind him and he was gone. No scream, no signal. 4 remained. Carrix's chest grew tight. His breathing slowed. He leaned closer to the screen, whispering, "Pull back, now." The team leader responded. "Too late. They're all around us." The signal broke. For 10 long minutes, there was silence. Then a video feed returned just for 2 seconds. It was from one of the Dominion soldiers' body cams. A human soldier was standing in front of him, face painted dark, body wrapped in jungle gear. He wasn't aiming the gun. He wasn't even speaking. He just stared, calm, cold, unblinking. Then the screen went black again. All 6 Dominion soldiers were lost. Carrix turned off the display. He didn't speak. His crew waited for orders, but none came. After a long moment, he walked to his private room and sealed the door. He sat in silence, thinking. This wasn't just a strong enemy. It was something worse. Something unknown. The humans didn't kill for sport. They didn't attack for glory. They acted with purpose. Every trap, every silent disappearance was a message, a warning. We see you. We know you're here. We are watching you too. Carrix began searching Earth's history again. Deeper this time, he found files about a group called Ghost Division. No official records, no photos, only rumors. Stories told by survivors of battles in faraway places. Soldiers who said they were saved or hunted by humans that moved without sound, struck without warning, and vanished before they could be seen. Some called them shadows, others called them myths. But the Dominion had always laughed at such stories. Not anymore. Carrix ordered his crew to stay in orbit. No more landings, no more teams. Not until he understood what he was facing. And he started reviewing every battle where humans were outnumbered, but still won. Patterns began to appear. Distraction, confusion, terrain tricks, fake retreats, disinformation. The humans didn't always win with force. They won with strategy. Fear. They broke their enemies before the real battle even started. He stared at a single line in an old Earth combat journal. Victory is not always in killing the enemy. Sometimes it is in making them afraid to fight at all. Carrix leaned back in his chair. He had come to Earth thinking humans were a small, weak species with outdated tools and short tempers. Now he saw the truth. Their weakness was a mask. Their silence was a warning. And their army was far more than numbers or guns. It was ghosts. It was fear. And the worst part, he hadn't even seen their full strength yet. Carrix no longer trusted his own eyes. Every image, every report, every sensor reading, he questioned it all. The humans were playing a deeper game. He knew now they had allowed him to see what they wanted. The old tanks, the slow patrols, the abandoned bases, it had all been part of a carefully laid trap. But why? Why pretend to be weak? Unless they were preparing for something far bigger. Inside his war room, Carrix studied a map of Earth's known military zones. He marked locations where Dominion probes had vanished. Then he compared those zones with historical human battlefields. The pattern hit him like a pause. Every loss they took happened near human special training sites. Old, hidden places, forests, deserts, mountains. The kind of land where machines failed. Its only skill could survive. It was clear now. The humans had made their real army invisible. That same night, Kyrix received a strange message on a secure Dominion channel. It wasn't a command. It wasn't from High Command. It was a private signal sent from deep space without identity. Only a few words came through. You're not ready for them. Pull back. Kyrix froze. Is it a warning? A threat? He ran a trace on the signal. It was fake. No location. No sender. Just silence. It's a ghost signal. The humans knew how to reach him. He called a secret meeting with his most trusted officers. We're not dealing with just an army, he said. Eyes burning. We're dealing with something designed to outthink us. His officers looked uneasy. One spoke. Commander, should we inform the High Command? Kyrix shook his head. Not yet. If we tell them what we've seen, they'll invade blindly, and the humans will destroy us before the real war begins. T paused, then added, I need proof. I need to see it with my own eyes. He made a decision that would change everything. He would go to Earth himself. This time, not as a soldier, not as a commander, but as a shadow. The next morning, Kyrix boarded a stealth lander with 2 drones and no guards. He flew into Earth's night side and landed in an unmarked jungle, one of the areas where his last team vanished. The lander was buried under thick branches. The jungle was hot, wet, full of noise. Insects, birds, movement. But Kyrix felt the quiet under the noise. He moved carefully, scanning for motion, sound, and heat. He saw nothing, but then he stopped, stirred on the ground fresh boot. Prints, not alien, human. They led to a narrow path between trees. He followed. The deeper he went, the quieter it got. Even the birds fell silent, crouched behind a tree and watched a small clearing. Strone hovered above, silently recording. Danny saw them. 6 human soldiers, standing in a half circle. They weren't talking. They weren't moving. They stood, like statues, facing the jungle. Kyrix stayed still, heart pounding. Suddenly, all 6 turned toward him at the exact same moment. They couldn't see him. He was behind thick cover, hidden, but still, they stared. Then, the one in the middle stepped forward. It was a woman. Her face painted dark green, eyes locked toward Kyrix's hiding place. She raised one hand slowly, then pointed directly at him. Kyrix froze. The drone's feed glitched. Screen went black. He turned, ready to run, but another human was behind him, silent, close, too close. Kyrix stepped back, raising his hand. I'm not here to fight, he said in Galactic common. The human didn't move. He just watched, calm, measuring him. Then he said something strange. You saw what we wanted you to see. Kyrix stayed quiet. We needed you to look deeper. The human continued. Now you're wondering how deep it goes. Kyrix asked slowly. Why are you telling me this? The human took a step closer. 'Cause your empire is planning to invade, and when it does, we won't fight like you expect. Kyrix asked, what are you hiding? The human's voice grew colder. You think what you saw was power? It wasn't. Then he whispered something that chilled Kyrix to his bones. You haven't seen our real army yet? Before Kyrix could speak again, the humans vanished. No sound, no footprints, gone. Kyrix stood alone in the jungle clearing. The heat rising around him, breath shaking. He looked at the sky through the trees. His mission had changed. He came to study humans. Now, he realized, he was the one being studied, and the humans had just given him one last chance. Leave before the real war begins.